Hi, this is Mr. Max with Sankofa Mathematics. So I'm doing paper 2, the one that was written by the grade 11s. It was written in January of 2022, okay, after those leaked ones. All right, so before we start, I just want to bring your attention to a very important part, which is the part about rounding. This part here that says that if a degree of accuracy in a question is not specified and the answer is not exact, then you are supposed to give your answer to 3 significant figures, and you must give answers for angle sizes to 1 decimal place. Okay, and if you are dealing with pi, either use the calculator value or you use 3.142. These are just an estimation, but this is what you can use. All right, so let's get directly into it. With the first few questions. So the first one here, you're supposed to state if the answer to each of the following numbers and expressions is rational or irrational. So this one here is a recurring decimal, okay? And a recurring decimal can be written as a fraction, a over b, provided b is not equal to 0. So this one definitely is a rational number. Well, if you take your calculator and you punch that in, okay, you're going to take, say, root 5 minus root 5. You're going to get 0. Well, 0 is rational, okay? So that will do it. So this one is also rational. Well, when you are taking note here, you're adding square root of 5 plus the square root of 5. That's 2 of them, okay? And of course, you know that 2 root 5 is going to be an irrational number. It goes on and on after that decimal point, okay? It never stops. All right, so this number here is irrational. Cannot be written as a fraction. When you work out this answer here, you're going to get an answer of 1 because like square root of 5 divided by square root of 5. Therefore, it's rational. When you calculate this one, you're going to get 5, right? So you take the square root of 5 times the square root of 5. Gives you an answer of 5. Okay, can you see that? So therefore, this answer here is also rational. Okay, so you get 1 mark for each of those questions. Okay, let's go directly to question 2. Question 2 here, you have got a formula that is using signs, and you are now supposed to substitute to find the value of v when u is 8 and a is minus 10, well, times 7. So this is going to give you this particular value. All right, so we punch that in, you get minus 62. Then we are supposed to make a the subject of the formula, so it's going to be v minus u is equal to at. Okay, now remember we're looking for a as subject of formula, so we're going to divide throughout by t. So at the end of the day, it's v minus u over t. All right, so any other thing, some people, they could get things like this. They could say v over t minus u over t. Well, this is also equivalent, so this will also be acceptable. Okay, so just remember, you are not writing in this margin here. This margin is where we are marking. Okay, right? So you don't have to write that. Okay, so let's go to question 3. Now, as you read question 3, there are certain keywords that are coming up. Minimum volume. This means you are dealing with limits of accuracy. All right, and they are looking for minimum value, so that means we are going to look for the lower bound, since when you calculate volume you are going to multiply. Okay, but you cannot just multiply all of that, you must multiply by the lower bounds together. So one decimal place, 0.1, then you divide by 2, and this is the number that you are going to subtract from each one of those values. All right, so for example, the lower bound of 3.1, take away 0.05, that gives you 3.05. The lower bound of 9.3, take away 0.05, that gives you 9.25. The lower bound of 6.5, take away 0.05, that gives you, so this number here is not 6.5, but this number is 6. This number here is 6.2. So take away 0.05, and that gives you 6.15. Okay, right, so once you do that, so in order for you to find the volume, you will simply multiply all of these together. So remember, this answer is cubic centimeter. So go ahead then and grab your calculator. Okay, so I'm going to have 3.05 times 9.25 times 6.15. Okay, now it's very important that you realize something here. This value, you are not going to round it. Okay, you are going to leave that. When you're working with when working with questions involving Venn diagrams, not Venn diagrams, my goodness gracious, when dealing with limits of accuracy. The pen is misbehaving. Okay, maybe I didn't charge it up. Anyway, let's see how far we go. When you deal with limits of accuracy, yeah, it's one of those days, right? So we'll see how that goes. Do not round your answers. So we expect you to write that full calculated display on that space. You see, it's a whole 5-mark question. So the full calculated display as it was there. So it was 173, if I can just recall, 173.506875. So it's 173.506875. Write down the full calculated display. Okay, so 5 marks for doing that, and you are good to go. Question 4. Well, question 4 deals with question 4 deals. Okay, so just blow it up here somehow. So I'm going to just minimize it a bit. I'm playing around here with my zooming some more. All right, so wow, it's too big though. Just give me a minute here. I'll get it ready. Okay, good to go. Maybe not entirely. All right, there we go. We're good to go. All right, so you have got a question on Venn diagrams and set notations. Okay, so this deals with Venn diagrams and set notation. So they're asking you, they're giving you information here. They say, in the village of Sibinda, Not all houses are connected to electricity, tap water, or gas. This is represented by the following sets. The universal set here is all the houses in Sibinda. E represents all the houses in Sibinda with electricity. W represents all the houses in Sibinda with tap water. And G represents all the houses in Sibinda with gas. The relationship between these sets is shown in this following diagram. Right, so you can see here something that looks a little bit weird to some of you because you might not be aware of this type of diagrams, but it's relatively straightforward. So the one inside here, inside the W, that is electricity. The G overlaps with the water and also somehow overlaps with electricity. Okay, and that P that you have could represent where you have a condition where you have water but no electricity and you have gas. Okay, right? You have gas because it overlaps there. Anyway, expressed in set notation the relationship between E and W. So E, every element of E is also an element of W. But W has more elements than E. In such case, we say E is a proper subset of W. Oops, W is misbehaving. So it's a proper subset of W. Every element of E is also an element of W, but W has more elements than E. Okay, not exactly the same. So if they were exactly the same, then they would have been subsets. But here, it's a proper subset. House P has been indicated in the Venn diagram. As you can see, give 3 pieces of information about house P. Well, house P has got water and gas, but no electricity. So you can write that down. And water, but no electricity. And another important fact, house P is in Sibinda. Don't you agree? Because it's an element of the universal set. So yeah, those are with 2 marks because you gave more than enough facts there. Then they are saying at part C, on the diagram, shade the subset of G intersection E. G intersection E, what do they share? G and E. It is this region here that you are going to be shading for 1 mark. Okay, there we go, for 1 mark. So the next question or the next statement, they say mark on the diagram the house Q which is connected to tap water but not gas, not electricity. Okay, tap water, no gas, so you can't overlap, no electricity, so that Q will be anywhere in this particular region. Okay, 1 mark for doing that. All right, so we're going to go and do a little bit of algebra. So we start with a little bit of indices. Here you have got 2. Remember that is raised to the power of 1. Should multiply with this one on the outside. Very important that you recognize that. Okay, so you have got x, where you have a 3 times that 3, and you have y squared times that 3. At the end of the day, you have got 8 x to the power 9, y to the power 6. Okay, a 6 looks rather bizarre, if I have to say so myself. So that's the answer for that question. Right, when you're dealing with this, hopefully by now, I hope you realize in order for you to do any sort of cancellation, you must have 1 term on top divided by 1 term underneath. So there are 3 terms, so you cannot go and cancel the x squares. That's not how this works. So you need to factorize the numerator as well as the denominator. You need to do that. Okay, so I hope you still remember how to factorize quadratic expressions. This one here has a minus, and because it has a minus, it means one will be a positive and one will be negative. The one at the bottom here is a positive, so in the bracket will be identical to whatever is in front of my 6 there, the value of b. So it's going to be a plus and a plus. So in a nutshell, on top we look for two numbers. When they multiply, they give us negative 12, and it can only be 4 and 3, and negative 4 times positive 3 gives you negative 12, and when you add them, they will give you negative 1. When you look at the one under, well, it's going to be x plus 3 and x plus 3, because this x squared plus 6x plus 9 is a perfect square trinomial. Half of 6 is 3, 3 squared is 9. So it's a repeated root, x plus 3 times x plus 3. Right, you're not done yet, so you can actually cancel out now. Now you can cancel because you have now this condition. You have one term over one term. So you may now cancel. Okay, cancel, I believe, 1L. It's not easy. But in any case, the final answer then for this particular question is just going to be the x minus 4 over x plus 3. Okay, so this is the answer, and that is worth 2 marks to me, or 3 marks doing that. Okay, let's get to the other question. The other question is an algebraic fraction. Now, what you can also see here is that the LCM is the one with the highest power. So it's y minus 1 all squared. All right. So in a nutshell, this second one should also be y minus 1. So I'm just going to write it y minus 1 times y minus 1 as the denominator. But this one already has that. Okay. So the only one that does not have that is that second one, right? The second one here. Because what you need to do is you need to multiply here by y minus 1, and also you multiply on top by y minus 1. So the minus, and inside here you are going to say times y minus 1. So you want to cross or multiply out, and you should be very careful. You have a positive coming. So this is going to be a positive, all right, and then you have plus y all over that same denominator of y minus 1, y minus 1. End of the day, you've got two like terms there, and they are y squared, which is y plus y, not y squared, but 2y rather. Y squared remains negative, so you have got 2y minus y squared all over that denominator of y minus 1 over y minus 1. Again, there is no need for you to multiply out that denominator. Right, so your work there is done. So that brings us now to question 6. Also, algebra. So it says Minga designed a rectangular garden PQRS, as you can see in the diagram. It is given that section PT is equal to section HQ, which is also equal to x meter. So if you consider this distance here, you will have x plus 4 more. Can you agree with me? Can you see where I get that? Right? That is what I do there. And if you look at the distance underneath here, this is going to be x. Well, let's look on top. On top, it's going to give me an indication. Is that 15 plus x to give me that whole distance up to there? All right. So this is x plus 15 more. So we are now really there with regard to our question. They say the area of the garden is 150. We're supposed to show that x squared plus 19x equals to 90. So that means x plus 15 times x plus 4 should equal to 150. Okay, right. So now you can actually cross multiply, or not cross multiply, but multiply over. So that's going to be x squared plus 4x these two here at the bottom, they'll give you plus 15x, and this gives you plus 60. Well, that's equal to 150. So when you clean this up, it's going to be x squared plus 19x equals to 150 minus 60. That in turn will give us x squared plus 19x equals to 90. And this is what we are required to prove. Okay, 3 marks worth doing that. Right, so the next question is they want us to find the value of x. Now remember, this is a quadratic equation, and because it's a quadratic equation, right? So this is a quadratic equation, and because it's a quadratic equation, and because they are telling us to give our answer correct to 3 significant figures. When they always tell you this stuff, give your answer to 3 significant figures, so many decimal places when you are dealing with quadratic equations, it means the quadratic equation doesn't factorize, and you must use either completing the square method or you must use the quadratic equation formula. Okay, right. So at the end of the day, our equation, as we know, it was, let's get the pen here. Our equation was x squared plus 19x equals to 90. Okay, and obviously you take half of 19. So if you do some side work, half of 19 all squared. Okay, and well, 19 times 19 is 381. 19 squared, 361 rather. So that's 361 over 4. But what is important is that this is now going to be on my left hand side. Okay, so I'm going to have x plus 19 upon 2 all squared. Goodness, yeah? All squared. So, and that should equal to, right? So that equals to 90, but 90 plus the 361 upon 4. So I'm using completing the square method if you did not by now realize that. So what we have is we have 90 on the right plus 361 upon 4 give you 721 over 4. So you have got 721 over 4, and now you can actually get rid of that little square by taking the positive and negative square root. Okay, so we are going to say that equals to positive or negative square root of your answer. Good. Once you will have 2 values to deal with. So the first value will be x is equal to, now this 19 must go over, so it's negative 19 plus, now you have the square root of 721 over 4. Okay, but not 4. The square root of 4 gives you what? 2. So everything comes over the same 2. 19 over 2, and this becomes a 2. Or x equals minus 19 minus square root of 721 over 2. So you'll have 2 possible answers, and you need to be able to see which ones work best for you. Okay, right. So if you look at the first one, so you have minus 19 plus square root of 721. You divide that by 2. That gives you one answer, 3.925. So it's 3.925. All right, maybe we can put more decimal places there. 721. 721. All right, something 85. Or the other answer will be negative 22 point. Okay. So if we go back, Okay. Let's see if we can get it. So it was minus 19 minus square root of 721 over 2. So negative 22.925721.925721, blah blah blah. So before even you continue, you must just realize something, that this answer here is invalid. It's not going to help us much with our answer. Okay, because distance can't be negative. So if you look at your diagram here, you see the value of x. Value of x is all the way up here, and there's no way that can be negative. Distance can be negative. All right, so what is our final answer then? Since we are supposed to give our answers correct to 3 significant figures, our answer to 3 significant figure is 3.93 meters respectively. Good, let's continue. Okay, so there was a small break. So this brings us to question 7. So this is matrices. So we are going to multiply. Now, the way you do this is, let's change this. The way you do this, you are multiplying this top row here with this first column. Okay, all right. So that is like 2 times negative 10 plus 3 times 8. Now we then continue with that same. Okay, so we are going to multiply now that first row with the second column. So that is going to be 2 times 3 plus 3 times negative 1. Okay, now when we're done with that, we're going to go to the second row and we're going to do the same. So we're going to say the second row here, we're going to multiply it with the first column there. So that's negative 2 times negative 10 plus 0 times 8. So we're going to then do the same. We're going to multiply that row with the second column, with this one here. So that is negative 2 times 3 plus 0 times negative 1. Right, we can clean this up. If we look at this number here, you get 2 times minus 10, that's minus 20. Minus 20 plus this first one, 2 times negative 10, minus 20 plus 24. Okay, minus 20 plus 24. So maybe I can write that here. So that's minus 20 plus 24. On this side you have 6 plus 3 times negative 1, so 6 minus 3. So 6 minus 3. And on the bottom here you have got minus 2 times minus 2, that's positive 20 plus 0. And on the next one you've got negative 2 times 3, that's negative 6 plus 0. Okay. Well, so it's just a matter of us cleaning up that part. So you have got minus 20 plus 24, or 24 minus 20, that gives you 4. And here you have 6 minus 3, which just gives you 3. And here you have 20 plus 0, that gives you 20. And here you have negative 6 plus 0, which is negative 6. 2 marks for doing that. Right, so I went this far trying to show most of the work, but again, you are totally, if you can get to the answer, you don't have a problem. Okay, I hope you still remember our work on our calculator, and I've showed you this many times when you can use your matrices. Né? So shift matrices, or if I can still remember. Okay, you go to your mode and you pick 6, so matrix A. I'll choose matrix A, and all these were 2 by 2 matrices, so I pick 5. Now if I look at matrix A, well, the calculator will disappear now, but just okay, it's still there. Matrix A, the input there for matrix A was 2, so I put 2 equal to 3 equal to minus 2 equal to and 0 equal to. Okay, then I want to multiply this one with matrix B. So I'm going to go again and I'm going to look at 6 and I choose matrix B. I choose the number 2. Again, it's a 2 by 2 matrix, so I'm going to choose 5. Now I'm going to enter the elements there of that one, so it's minus 10 equal to 3 equal to 8 equal to negative 1 equal to. Right, so now I have got my matrices there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say I'm going to take matrix 1, and it was 3, it was matrix A, so I'm going to say 3, and I'm going to multiply it, shift matrix here, and matrix B, which is 4. And if I get that answer, you can clearly see that my solution, let me just bring this up, this 4, 3, 20 minus 6, it's 4, 3, 20, negative 6. There I got my answer. All right, so you can also use a calculator if you have that. All right, 2 marks in the exam. So I have done quite a number of videos like this showing you how to find the inverse of a matrix and stuff like that using your calculator. It's also a special type of calculator anyway, not just any. Right, we're now supposed to find the inverse of matrix C. Before we do that, we need to be able to do a few things here. All right, we need to be able to find the determinant, and I hope you can still remember. So we're going to say the determinant of C, the determinant, you take the leading, you take these minus 10, okay, oopsie, maybe I should just use a highlighter, it's looking more neater there. So I'm going to take minus 10 times negative 1, right, minus 10 times negative 1, and I'm going to subtract with the other values. I'm going to subtract with the 3 times the 8. Okay, subtract that with 3 times 8. You can put it in brackets if you want to, say 3 times 8. At the end of the day, you should get 10 minus 24, and it's negative 14. Remember, the determinant is a number. It can be 0. If it's 0, we're talking about the singular matrix, and this one is a non-singular matrix because the determinant is just negative 14. Right, so let's then find the value. Let's take our C. Now, how do you find? So let me just write my C here, just so that you know. So C is, so I go back there, I have negative 10, negative 1. So I have negative 10, negative 1 here. Oopsie, that is not how it's supposed to look. So maybe I get my negative 1 here, and then 8 and the 3's here, if I did I swap them already. Okay, my bad. It's supposed to be the other way around. This is the 3 and that's 8. All right, so I just had to bring set C down here so you can see, or matrix C. Right, in order for us to find the inverse now, the inverse, you take 1 over the determinant, and what you do is you are going to swap the first ones around. So you will be swapping these two around. Okay, so -1 comes here and the -10 comes here. And the second thing that you need to do is you are going to change the signs of this ones. That's all. So now that becomes -3 and -8. Well, you can leave your answer like that, but you can also multiply that -1/14 into each one of them. Okay, and when you do that, you are going to get 1/14, 3/14, 8/14, 10/14. Well, now you can actually sort of clean that nicely, okay, because these two at the bottom, they can be simplified further. So it's 1/14, 3/14, and then 2 goes there, 4/7. That's a 4, and that one is 5/7. Well, you can also do that. Again, you can find the inverse of a matrix by using a calculator. So let me just clear everything here. Even that matrix B, I'm going to clear it. I'm just going to say Shift 9. I'm going to clear everything on my calculator. All clear. Good. Right, so I want to find the inverse of matrix. So let me see if we go to 6 matrix and then we pick 1, and it's a 2 by 2 matrix. All right, so it's a 2 by 2 matrix. We pick 5 and we enter the elements. So we're going to say -10 equal to 3 equal to 8 equal to -1 equal to. Okay, so I'm going to say shift matrix and I'm going to find the inverse. So that was matrix A, I believe. So I'm going to pick 3 and I'm going to find the inverse, and that is the inverse that we are using there. All right, now these are decimal values, the equivalent of whatever you have here. All right, so this is 1/14 or 0.0, but you can see here it gives you 1/14. So if I go to the next one, it gives you 3/14. Can you see that? Or 0.2142, which is the decimal. Going to the next one gives you 4/7. As you can see, I've got 4/7 here, and then also gives you 5/7. So you can find the inverse also using a calculator if you have some calculator like this. Okay, because it already do everything for you. It's pretty cool, don't you think? Okay, let's go to the next question. The next question, obviously, we have a little bit of more, we have equations now. So this one, you have 12x minus 7x equals to 30. Oh, the pen is not cooperating so well. So let's start again. 12x minus 7x. So what I'm doing is I am collecting like terms. All right, so that gives me 5x is equal to 29. So x therefore will be 29/5. And guess what? If you leave your answer like that, you also get full marks for that. Or you can say 5 goes there 5 times and 4 is left. Or you can even say 5.8. So anywhere when you have that as your answer will be accepted. Okay, when I do B, I'm going to make the denominators the same. So I'm going to multiply this by 2 and that by 5. And what I do under, okay, I can hear you repeat after me. What I do under, okay, I'm not going to go on. You already said it. So I multiply that by 2, and multiply that by 2. So I've got 2 and 3x here, plus 1, plus 5. Then you have got x minus 2 equals 47. If the denominators are the same, you can drop them, okay? And you don't have to worry about them. You just now work with your numerators. And of course, there are some multiplication that you need to do. So this becomes 6x plus 2 plus 5x minus 10 equals 47. So let's collect the like terms. So we've got 11x minus 8 equals to 47. It comes from minus 10 plus 2. So from here on, we have got 11x equals 47 plus 8. Okay, so I'm just going to come here. So 11x is equal to 55. Well, that x look like a runaway bride. Okay, so now it's better. So the value of x, therefore, will be 55 divided by 11. So guess what? It's equal to 5. 4 marks for that whole business, step by step. Look at your method, whatever method you are using, as long as you get to that answer, okay? So please don't confuse the two. So basically, they are linear equations. The other one just have got some denominators. If you come to part C, now there's a lot of work here. You have got a linear function, but you have x and y and x squared and y squared. So you have to solve them simultaneously. So I'm going to take x and I'm going to make x the subject of the formula. You see, if I take that minus, it becomes a positive. Right, so I'm going to then take this value for x, the 5y minus 13, and I'm going to substitute it into the second equation where I have the value of x there. So that means it's going to be 5y minus 13 squared plus y squared equals to 13. So this is going to give me that very horrible quadratic equation that I need to solve, and I find the two values of y, and then subsequently I'll use this formula that I have up here to find the values of x. So this one here means 5y minus 13, and it means 5y minus 13 multiplied by itself. So make sure you don't make a mistake. So that's 5y minus 13 plus y squared equals to 13. So if you now clean this up, you're going to multiply this with that, you get 25y squared. You multiply that with that, you get minus 65y. And then you take the second one, you get minus 65y. And then you take this negative times negative, give you a positive 169. Plus y squared minus 13. I'm going to bring that 13 over, okay? So everything can equal to 0. Now, we can clean this up. We can find like terms. And if you look carefully, you'll see that this 25y squared and this y squared, they go together. Okay? In fact, they will give you 26y squared. And then if you go further, you would realize that this minus 65y and minus 65y in the middle, they are also like terms. They give you minus 130y. And obviously 169 minus 30, that gives you plus 156 equals to 0. We can use a quadratic equation right here, or I can divide this by 2, just simplifying it a bit for me. So half of 26 is 13y squared, half of 130 is 65y, half of 156 is 78 equals to 0. Just bring my calculator up here just so you can see exactly. So I have got 156. All right then, so let me say 169 take away 13. Okay, divide that by 2. Good, I'm on the right path. All right, so this is a quadratic equation, and hopefully by now you should be able to solve this quadratic equation here. All right, you can use the formula, the quadratic equation formula. So you use the formula, you probably will get something like I will just write it here. Maybe I'll write it in a different color. So you're gonna have, you say y will equal to minus the value of b is minus 65 plus or minus the square root of minus 65 squared minus 4 times 13 times 78. Everything over 2 times the value of a. Okay, right, you're going to get your 2y values when you punch that in. Okay, so using my calculator, so we're going to say it's going to be minus, okay, so let's just get my calculator the correct way I want it to be. Good. So I have got negative in brackets minus 65. So let's take it when it's positive. Square root of minus 65 whole squared minus 4 times 13 times 78 upon 2 times 13. Well, y equals to 3. Okay, when I have a positive. So I've got y equals to 3, or now I go back and I go back when I make this a negative. All right, so I have what? Positive value. Now I'm going to make that a negative. So in front of the root, this is going to become now a minus. And then I get my next answer, which is y equals to 2. All right. So my two values are y is 3 and y is 2. Now I must find the corresponding x values. So when y is 3, so I'm going to go back all the way here, all the way to this one here, to find x equals to 5 times 3 minus 13. Okay, so x will equal to 2. Okay, that's 15 minus 13. So when y is 3, x is equal to 2. Got that? Now we need to find when y is equal to 2, right? So I'm just going to do that. So I'm going to take away that to see if y is equal to 2. What answer do I get? So 5 times 2 is 10. 10 take away 13. The answer is minus 13. Minus 3, rather. So these are therefore the solutions. Okay, 6 marks for that. Very horrible question, but very nice to solve. And I hope that you don't get lazy as you are solving it. Okay, just maybe something worth showing when you are dealing with this type of, you have this calculator, you go to 5 for equation, you pick 3 because it's a quadratic equation. Can you see that? 3. Now, the value of a is this value. The value of b is minus 65. The value of c is 78. Okay, so I'm going to use the calculator, and a is 13 equal to b is minus 65 equal to c is 78 equal to, and it's going to give me the two values. They will say one value is 3. Surely y equals to 3. Okay, variable doesn't matter. The other one should be 2. So that's how I get my, if you use this calculator, no need to show all of that. But again, please, you are supposed to show all your workings and you cannot look for shortcuts. And another important thing worth remembering, this margin that you saw me writing, this one that is written for examiners' use, okay, just remember, we do not write here. Yeah? So do not right here. This is where we are marking, putting all our annotations, okay? Like for example, if you got all of these things correct, there are methods and all types of marks you're going to get. So it's 4 marks. Okay, we can step off this question. In fact, that was 4 marks, and this one here is 6 marks. So you can see all of these 6 ticks starting from way up there. Some of them are method marks, some of them are stuff like that. So, so you are not supposed to write in there. Okay, let's start with question 9. A little bit of trigonometry here. Okay, so they are saying triangle XYZ is drawn such that XY is equal to 30 centimeters and YZ is equal to 23 centimeters. Angle YXZ is 46, as you can see, and angle XYZ is equal to Y. So they say you must find angle Y. Now we can use the sine rule here because we have a complete pair here. We have an angle and a side. So we're going to say, we're looking for an angle, we're going to say the sine of 46 degrees over 23 is equal to the sine of y over 30. Okay, so opposite that. Can you see that? Okay, now if that is the case, I'm just going to take this away. We can actually find sine y. So this then gives me that sine, okay, it's a funny thing, but it says that sine y will equal to sine 46 degrees over 23 times 30 in order to get rid of that. So sine y will give you some horrible decimal. So let's see what it is. So we need to go back to our original display. So it's going to be sine 46 degrees upon 23, and we multiply that by 30. Hit enter. Okay, 0.93826, and so on. So in order for you now to find that angle, remember, to find that angle, it means you are going to take the inverse. All right, so I'm just going to write that here, so that, because I'm running a little bit out of space, so y will be the inverse. Okay, wonder what is written there. So y is the inverse sine after, of this decimal here, 0.9382 blah blah blah. All right, then remember we are supposed to give our answer to one decimal place because it's the angle size. Okay, so I'm going to find the inverse sine, so shift inverse sine of my answer, previous answer there. Hit enter. 69.76291. Blah 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 degrees. So to one decimal place it's going to be 69.8 degrees. Okay, you with me so far? It's quite a lot of work, but it's quite helpful. All right, let me just do something now that I have angle y. So I'm going to say, okay, so if that is angle y, angle y is 69.8. I'm going to calculate angle z here. Okay, and the way you calculate, you say 180, take away 69.8, take away 46. Okay, so you say 180, take away the sum of 69.8 plus 46. Okay, so 69. Oh, made a little mistake. That's supposed to be 46. Okay, so you get 64.2. Right. So this angle here is 64.2. Very useful, and you will see in a bit why. Because now they ask us to find x, y. Again, we can use the sine rule because we have a complete value here. All right, so we can use the sine rule again, and I can use the 46 and the 23. Okay, so I'm looking for side, so I'm going to put the number on top. So I'm going to say 23 over the sine of 46. It doesn't really matter which one you put on top. Okay, you can put sine because you're going to cross multiply anyway. You want to look for a side. So 23, and then I'm going to then take the 64, the xy over the sine of 64 point. So xy over the sine of 64.2. Okay. Right. Now, in order for you to isolate the xy, you simply say this gives us that xy equals to 23 over the sine of 46 multiplied by the sine of 64.2. Okay, so that's going to give us the value of xy, and then we're going to give it to three significant figures. All right, so let's just hit that and see. So it's going to be 23 upon sine of 46 times sine of 64.2. Hit enter. 28.7865. So the final answer then, correct answer that we are looking for is going to be 28.8 centimeters. Correct, so three significant figures. Well, you can also use the cosine rule. I guess if you use the cosine rule, I'm going to write it down here. So someone wants to use the cosine rule and say xy squared equals to 23 squared plus 30 squared minus 2 times 23 times 30 times the cosine of 64.2. And then xy will be everything here square root. Okay, so calculator, you can go ahead and say, well, 23 squared plus 30 squared minus 2 times 23 times 30, okay, times the cos of 64.2. You get 828.3810. So it's 828.3810. Just want to make sure copied it correctly. 829. So xy, therefore, you then find what is that answer, the square root of the answer. So I'm going to say square root of answer 28.781, 28.7816, blah blah blah, centimeter. So therefore it's 28.8 centimeters to three significant figure. Can you see that? Answer rounds to the same requirement. Okay, so that is also how you could have done part B. So this is my part B. So you can also then use, as I was saying, the cosine rule to solve that. Anyway, the area of the triangle, so I've got three sides here, and that is 28.8. This side here was 28.8, right? So you can choose which angle, and the two sides that are flanked by that. So it's side, angle, side. So I'm going to take the 30 and the 23. So I'm going to say the area of the triangle is a half times 23 times 30 times the sine of the angle in the middle. Are you with me? 23 times 30 times the cosine half times the cosine or the sine of 64.2. Right? Hope you are familiar with that formula to calculate the area of a non-90 degree triangle. So it's 1 over 2 times 30 times 23 times the sine 64.2. That gives you 310.60997. So 310.60997. Okay. Just make sure. Okay, and then to three significant figures, it becomes 311 becomes 311 square centimeters. Okay, right. So again, remember, this is a video. You can pause the video and you can then continue to do what you do best. All right. It's gonna go for a. All right, welcome back. So I'm starting with question 10. You have got a circle inscribed inside a square. So they say the circle has a radius of 9 centimeters, and as you can see, and it's inscribed in a square. So the area of the circle, and you know, to find the area of a circle, you say pi times r squared. So I'm going to leave it in terms of pi. The answer is 81 pi. But you can go ahead and you can give whatever your answer is for 81 pi. So you can have 254.4 blah blah blah. You can also write that. It's also acceptable. Okay, right. The next one, they want us to find the area of the square. Now remember, if you have a look, let's say this distance here. Now the whole thing, so that is also 9 centimeters. So the whole thing from here to here will be 18 centimeters, which is the same as the distance of that. So that's 18 centimeters, which is the same thing as the distance of that, which is 18 centimeters. So the area of a square is 18 times 18. Okay, so you just say area is 18 centimeters times 18 centimeters. Well, you get 324. Now they're asking you to find the shaded part, and the way you find the shaded part is you say, okay, you take 324, you take away 81 pi, and you divide by 2. Why are we dividing by 2? Because we've got 4 areas here. This one here, this one here. Obviously, it's all of them identical, but I only want 2, so I'm going to only want half of that. Okay, so I'm going to punch that on into calculator in order to get my answer. So I'm going to say 324 minus 81. Oh, goodness, that's minus 81 shift pi. I divide that by 2. All right, and that is 34.7654. So the answer here is 34.7654, if I remember it well. 9753. Well, this answer, anything rounding to 35, that is how you get a mark. So I'm going to have 34.8 square centimeters to 3 significant figures. So that's how it was marked. Anything rounding to 35, then you get full marks for that. Okay, so let's go to the next question. So we are starting with part B, the same question. So you have got points that are on the circumference of a circle, and AD and BC are diameters, and that is very important. So the lines CD and AC and BD, they are chords, and EDF is a straight line. Okay, it's a tangent to the circle at point D. The reason why it says a tangent to a radius is 90 degrees already. That is going to be very easy to do. So CAD, finding that angle with a reason, CAD. CAD is 48 degrees, and it's angles in the same segment. So if you're asking me what is a segment, I am going to explain rather. So this is a segment here created by that chord, and maybe we use a different color, and this other one here, all the way here, this is also a segment. It's a major segment. So segments are created by chords. All right. So this is a segment. It's the major segment. Can you see that? And a minor segment. Okay. So why is this important? So you can see that angle, the 48 is here. So this is also 48. And the reason is because they are angles in the same segment. Right, so there could have been another reason, and of course you can go ahead and you can give that reason. You can say, well, angles subtended by the chord, in this case CD, all right, they are equal. Okay, they're subtended by that chord. Right, then ACD, now this is AD is a diameter, so ACD here is going to be 90 degrees angle in a semicircle. So 90 degrees angles in a semi-circle. Then ADF, well, I already wrote ADF, angles between the tangent and the radius of a circle. So it's 90 degrees. So it's 90 degrees. Angles between a tangent and a radius of a circle equal to 90 degrees. Okay, so please make sure you are familiar with your angle properties. All right, so that takes me to the next question. That is question 11. So this is coordinate geometry. Right, so let me just see what is it that they are giving me. They are saying R is the point 7, 7. Q is the point -1, 6. P is the point -5, -2. It's in the third quadrant. And S is the point 3, -1. Okay. Now they are saying find the length of PQ. Now you're going to use Pythagoras here. So PQ is going to equal, PQ take the two x values. So we're going to say -5 minus -1 squared plus take -2 minus 6 square. Well, that is going to give you -5 plus 1 is -4 plus -8 square. Okay, so go ahead, that cleans that up nicely to 16 plus 64, which gives me the root of 80. Now, there's a way you can do this without using a calculator, okay? So you're going to think 16 times 5, because it says 5 is here already. So I know that 16 times 5, what square number times 5 gives you 80? So then this can be written as the square root of 16 times the square root of 5. And guess what is the square root of 16? It's 4 times that. Well, you don't have to struggle. You can just say, okay, square root 80, your calculator will already give you answer insert form 4 root 5. Okay, and that's the form that it was requested. They requested this answer in that form, so decay being the 40. Then they say find the coordinates of the midpoint M of PQ. So if you have to look at the diagram, the midpoint is going to be somewhere around about here. Okay, if I have to say so myself. So in order to find the midpoint, you're going to take the x values, add them, and divide by 2. So you're going to say -1 minus -5, -1, sorry. So I'm going to say -1 plus -5 divided by 2. These are the x values. And you could have started with the other one on top, like -1 plus -5, doesn't matter. So I started with -5, so I'm going to then continue. So -2 plus 6, so -2 plus 6, -2 plus 6, half of that. All right, so the other one there becomes -6 over 2, -6 over 2, comma 4 over 2. So it's -3, comma 2. That's the coordinate of the midpoint. Okay, -3, comma 2. So I'm going to write it in there. It's going to be -3, comma 2. Right. Nicely done. Okay, so now that brings me to Patsy's show that MS is perpendicular to PQ. Right. So well, this is not to scale. So I'm just putting it out there so you know. So they are saying if you draw the line MS to S here, you should notice that they are perpendicular, means they make 90 degrees. So when that happens, the gradient, and this is the important thing you should remember when you are trying to show, the gradient of line MS, when you multiply it with the gradient of line PQ, it should give you a product of -1. And what that happens, then the two lines, then we'll say line MS is perpendicular to line PQ. All right, so we're going to look at the gradient of MS and PQ. So let us see. First, M, the coordinates is -3, 2, getting it from a previous answer. S, the coordinates are, let's go back, S, the coordinates are 3, -1. Just make sure we have it all right. And the coordinates of S is 3, -1. Okay, let's calculate the gradient of MS. So the gradient of MS means you take delta y over delta x. That means two differences in y, so it's 2 minus -1 over, started with this one, so -3 minus 3. Well, that gives you 3 over -6, which gives you -1/2. Okay, so the other one is PQ. So let's find points P and points Q, and then we're also going to do the gradient of points PQ. Let's see what that gives us. So point P, the coordinates of P are -5, -2. So let me bring it here. The coordinates of Q are -1, 6, -1, 6. Right, so the gradient starting with the y, so it's -2 minus 6 upon -5 minus -1. So on top you have -8, under you have got -5 plus 1, -4, and negative into a negative is 2. Now let's check. -1/2 times 2 surely gives you -1. All right. Therefore, MS is perpendicular to PQ. Okay, so that quite shows a lot, and hopefully you also did it the same way. Right, something else, I put that dotted line there. So that is like the height of this parallelogram. And it's the height of the parallelogram, and the reason I'm bringing that in, that ms is the height of the parallelogram, because the next question wants us to find the area of the parallelogram, and the formula we're going to use, we're going to say the area of the parallelogram is the base times the height. Now the base will be represented by PQ, because it's where the 90 degrees starts from. All right, PQ, the length of PQ, but we already know what the length of PQ is. The length of PQ is 4 root 5. Okay, so we need to find the height, and the height is represented by ms. Good. So we need to find the height of ms using our Pythagoras story. All right. So we know ms. So if I have to get ms, m is negative 3, 2. Just want to write them in here. So I'm going to write it here. So please, you don't write it here. So m is negative 3, 2. And s, just writing the coordinates down, it's 3, negative 1. Okay, 3, negative 1. All right, so now I can actually find what is the distance of ms. So if I go, I'm going to use Pythagoras. So 2x value, so it's going to be negative 3 minus 3 all squared plus 2 minus negative 1 all squared. Okay, so that gives me negative 3 minus 3, that's negative 6 squared plus 3 squared. In this case, it becomes 836 plus 9, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, negative 3 minus 3, negative 3 minus 3 is negative 6, and that gives me square root of 45. So now I know what my height is. My height is nothing but a square root of 45. Square root of 45. Well, so you can go ahead and you can actually punch this into your calculator, and you realize you get 60 units squared. Okay. So again, it's a equals to 4 times root 5, which is 9 times 5. Okay, so that's 4 root 5 times 3 root 5, which is the same as 4 times 3 times root 5 times root 5, which is nothing but 12 times 5. All right, so this gives you 12 times 5, which equals to 60 units square. Anyway, you don't have to take all this long way. You can grab a calculator, simply say 4 root 5 times root 45. 60. And there you go. And you get to the answer. Okay, well, that's how this question should have been answered. And I hope you had fun with me the same way I had fun with that question. Please remember, this diagram is not to scale, so don't go out there and measure and expect things to be according to scale. Right, so let's delve into our next problem. Well, we are going to do a little bit of graph work. All right, so I'm going to just a bit bring it down a little bit smaller. So again, you can use a calculator. This is going to be symmetrical. There is a reason why this part is shaded, because there can't be 0. Né? X cannot be 0, right? 2 divided by 0 does not exist. You understand? Does not exist. Does not exist, not even an empty set. It just doesn't exist. So this is going to remind me, you'll have one branch on your graph. Most probably one branch comes like this, and the other one will be exactly identical like that. You follow? So if, because they are identical, that means since they are identical, the values here in the table should be the same to 1 decimal place. So guess what? Okay, this is 11. All right, we are still on. So I'm going to quickly see if I can get. All right, so this is going to be 0.1. This is going to be 0.2. This is going to be 0.5, and this is going to be 2. And you can go ahead and check. So you can say 2 divided by -4 squared, for example. That's 0.125. All right, and it gives you that. And when you take -3 in here, so say 2 divided by -3 all squared, well, you get 0.22222. All right, and so on and so on. Anyway, that is 4 marks, the easiest 4 marks that you should have scored in this question. So we are going to plot all of these points. So for plotting all 8 points, you get 3 marks. And for a smooth curve, you will get 1 mark. Right, so I just want to bring this diagram here, and I want to just work on something so you can take note. This is, if you look at the scale here, you have got, how many blocks do you have here? You have got 5, 10, 15, 20. You have 20 blocks, so 1 divided by 20. So each block is about 0.05. Are you with me? All right. You need to understand your scale. It's very important that you understand your scale. So say 1 over 20. Hit enter. 0.05. Right. And then on the x-axis, you have got, it's important, you have got, how many blocks do you have here? You have about 10 blocks. So 1 divided by 10. So each little block here represents 0.1. Does that make sense? Right. So when we are now going to plot, it's very important that scale is, that you understand that scale. So I'm going to start with the -4. They are saying when it's -4, it's 0.1. Now, 0.1, in order for me to find how many blocks I should count from that point, I'm going to say, okay, so it's 0.1. Then I divide that by 0.05. How many blocks is it? Okay. All right, just want to get to my calculator. So you will be saying 0.1 divided by 0.05, it's 2 blocks. So that means, therefore, this is going to be 1, 2 blocks right here. And I can go ahead and do the same on the other side also, because they are symmetrical. When it's -3 or 3, okay, I have 0.2. So again, I'm going to do this. I'm going to say, wait a minute. I'm going to say, what is 0.2 divided by that? Okay, then 0.2 divided by 0.05. How many blocks is it? It's 4 blocks. So that means at -3, I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks there. And I'm going to do the same here on the other side, 4 blocks there, because it's identical. Okay. Are you with me so far? All right. So we are going to do the same for what is it going to be for -2? -2, they say 0.5. So 0.5, I think this is going to be 10 blocks. So 0.5. So again, you go 0.5 divided by 0.05. That gives you 10. Okay. So all the way 10 blocks. So where are we at? Let me bring the red. So that's 5, 10. So all the way here. So 2 goes all the way here. And then -1 or 1 is all the way up to 2. All the way up to 2. So no problem. So when I'm at -1, I go all the way up to 2. I plot that point. When I had 1, also going to be all the way up to 2. So 8 points plotted, 3 marks. Okay. Point 3 marks, all 8 points, and curve 1 mark. Okay, that's how this question was marked at the end of the year or early in the year. So let us now join them. Okay, right. So remember, I am using a software here that maybe yours would be slightly more accurate than mine. Okay. All right. The bottom line is this is going to be identical. So you are going to make a nice smooth curve like so. Right. 4 marks. There you go. Nothing to be afraid of. Very important to understand the scale. Now they are saying on the same grid, draw the line y equals to 1/4. Well, this is y equals to 0.25. Again, 0.25 divided by 0.05. Okay, in order for you to know how many blocks that is going to be. So 0.25 divided by 0.05. Okay, 5 blocks. So it's here, right? So I'm going to draw a line. And what's going to be the color of this line? Let's make it medium thick. So that line there is the line y equals to 1/4. Right. So that took care of that problem. Now they are saying solve where there's function. So basically you are now going to look at where they are meeting. Right. So if I have to take, this is going to be more or less, so that is negative 2,8. And the other one has to be 2,8 because they are identical. You understand that? The other one has to be 2,8, so it will be all the way here. There you go. And that's how you answer it using your graph. And your work there for that question is done. All right. One of the things that's important, please don't let these curves, when you draw them, cut the y-axis because they can't. So they are broken. It's a sort of a broken graph. We call it a discontinuous function. Typically, function we have some number over x. Now this x, remember, you may never divide by 0. So that's why 0 wasn't given here, because it would not be possible, okay, to divide by 0. So the graphs, when you do draw them, they are going to be broken. Okay, I hope you get it like that. They will never touch. Okay, so we are getting to question 13. They're asking us to sketch a graph. So there are a few things we need to identify. The y-intercept, you can just see from the graph, it's negative 3. But how do you get it? You make x to be 0. So the y-intercept is negative 3. The x-intercept, you must use the formula. Okay, so you'll be saying, for the formula, you'll be saying, okay, wait a minute. I need to know where is this graph going to cut the x-axis. So it's minus b, which is negative 5, coming all the way from here. That's a, that's c. You with me? All right. So minus b plus or minus the square root of minus 5 squared minus 4 times a, in this case a is 2, times c, which is negative 3. Okay, so I can extend that all over 2 times a. All right, so okay, I'm not going to despair. I'm going to go to the equation and I'm going to say a is 2 equal to negative 5 b, c is negative 3 equal to, so one answer is x equals to 3. The other answer is going to be x equals to negative a half. So I have my intercepts, okay? And I would also like to, just for convenience, find where will this graph, what will the turning point be? Now, here's something that I probably have to bring to your attention. The axis of symmetry is found by saying x minus, it's minus b, x equals to minus b over 2a, and our b happens to be negative 5 over 2, and our a happens to be that. So it's 5 divided by 4. So that's the x value of the turning point, which is the same like 1.125, yes? Let's go back. 5 divided by 4. 1.125, okay? So we can also write as 1.125. Now, if you take this function and you substitute it into our function, what was it? Minus 3. Okay, just make sure that we wrote it's 2x squared minus 5x minus 3. If you substitute this value here, this 5 upon 4, everywhere where you have an x, you are going to get minus 49 over 8, or negative 6.125, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so let's see. You have got 2, you have got 5.4 squared minus 5.4 minus 3. There you go. Minus 49 over 8 or negative 6.125. All right. So this is the turning point. So this is where the graph will turn. Okay. So I am ready to sketch. So before you sketch, please label. That's the y-axis. That is the x-axis. Okay. And then obviously you're going to have something more or less like that. All right. So let's see. Well, my axis of symmetry is more or less there. Is it? Okay. All right, don't worry, don't have to draw that one. So this is the point, so where it turns, so that's the point 5 over 4, comma negative 49 over 8. Okay, or you can give the decimal point. All right, the other points that I'm going to write, negative 3 here, negative 1/2, positive 3 here. There you go. You have sketched that particular graph. X-intercepts, y-intercept, turning point. Is that clear? Right, so it's 5 marks, please. Again, as I said, you might not be so familiar with this in the beginning. Go back, check some more videos, and also pause this one, and you do it, and then you follow exactly how I managed to solve that question. All right, question 14, we're getting very close to the end. This is the second last question. Two unbiased coins, or not coins, my goodness, I said coins, these dice. One is a die, and they are thrown, and the difference between the scores obtained on each die is then recorded. Now, you must remember, there's something you should remember. If you have a die and both of them have 1, 1, so the difference there will be 0. If you have another one that is 2 minus 1, so the other one is a 2, the other one shows a 1, so it's going to be 1. So you can't have negative values here, you understand? So you have to decide which one you're going to subtract. So 3 minus 1 is 2, 3, 4, 5, if I go like that. So this is a 2, take away 1, so you'll have 1, 3, take away 1, 2, so it goes on and on and on. And if another one is 2, you take it, it's going to be 0. Another one is 3, and the other one is 2, so it's going to be 1. Another one is 4, minus 2 is 2, 3, 4. Are we together? So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Can you see it? 2, the other one is 3, minus that, 3, minus 2, it's 1. So 3 minus 3 is 0. Can you see that? Then 4 minus 3 is 1. And 5 minus 3 is 2. So that's how we go. 4 minus 2 is 2, 3, 4. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 4, 3, 3210. Are you with me? 3210. All right, so that is 5 minus 4. 5 minus 4 is 1. Ha! Okay, so this is a possibility diagram, space diagram, okay? And it's a 6 by 6 grid, so it consists of 36 possibilities. That 36 is very important. Okay, so 3 marks for doing that. I hope you're with me. Okay, complete the table. Now, giving your answers as common fractions in their simplest form, calculate the probability that the difference is equal to 0. So let's go ahead and see how many zeros do we have. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Therefore, I've got, let's get the pen. I've got 6 out of 36, and that simplifies to 1 over 6. You with me so far? Next, what? That the difference is equal to 1? Well, so the difference is equal to 1, so let's count how many 1s there are. Maybe we'll bring in, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, I get 10 of them. Okay, so it's 10 over 36. Now 10 over 36 is 5 over 6. Half of that is 5, half of that is 18. My goodness, 5 over 18. There you go. Right, so we have got the difference is equal to 0, the difference is equal to 1. So now they say calculate the probability that the difference is less than 2. So if it's less than 2, it's either going to be 0 or it's either going to be 1. So if you don't like this one, I suggest maybe you use take the 6 over 36 plus the 10 over 36, and that gives you 16 over 36. All right, half of that. So yeah, let's see, it's 16 over 36. Well, the fraction is 4 over 9. All right, so 4 over 9, and your work there is done for per day. Are we clear? Possibility diagrams or space diagrams. So please follow this, and you should be on the right path as far as this is concerned. Okay, let's get to part 17. They say a baker has 6 eggs in the fridge. 2 of them are bad. 2 are bad. So 2 out of the 6 are bad, then 4 out of the 6 are good. You're good? You get me? He picks 3 of them at random. So when he picks here now, it's going to be out of 5, right? So this is already 2, so this has to be 3 because this is supposed to add to 1. This is 4 out of 5, so this one must be 1 out of 5. You with me? Because they should add up to 1. Well, this is a half, so that one is also going to be a half because it should give you 1. That is 3 out of 4, so this one here should be 1 out of 4. Okay, so here's the little problem though. You have got 6, 5, so this one will be 4. You with me? You have 2, 1, so this is going to be 0. So basically this is just equal to 0. So 0 out of 4, so the other one must be 4 out of 4, which is basically the same as 1. So you have done that. It doesn't matter. You can give the fractions in the simplest form. You are good to go. Now, I know it must have a bit too fast, but again, as I said, read the question and then you will understand. Find the probability that at least 2 of the eggs are bad. So we are looking at combinations now. Right, so at least 2 are bad. So let me start all the way here. I'm going to start with the good one. So I'm going to pick good, and then I'm going to pick bad. So it's 4 over 6 times 2 over 5 times 1 over 4. Okay, are you with me? Okay, that's one condition. 4 over 6, that's the good, and 2 bad ones, times 2 over 5, bad, times 1 over 4, bad. Okay, plus. Now we're done there, otherwise everything will just be good. So another combination, another combo. It's bad, good, bad. There we go. All right. So let's have it. Remember that's a plus. Bad 2 over 6 times good 4 over 5 times bad 4 over 4. Bad, sorry, 1 over 4. There we go. There's one more condition. Condition is bad, bad, good. Okay, so bad 2 over 6 times, then you go bad 1 over 5, which is bad, 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 1 over 5. Good. Now good is 1. That's 4 over 4. Okay, right. So grab your calculator and see what you get. So when you grab your calculator, take these three fractions. We say it's 4 upon 6. Where are we at now? 4 over 6 times 2 over 5 times 1 over 4. What's that equal to? Ah, it's equal to 1 over 15 plus. Good. Let's go to the next one. Where we're at. Right. I'm just going to start over again. So I'm going to say 2 over 6 times 4 over 5 times 1 over 4. If I don't mistake, I think it's also 1 over 15. So 1 over 15. I'm writing over that, so you get the idea. The last one, we have 2 over 6. 2 over 6 times 1 over 5 times 4 over 4, or something times 1. 1 over 5, 15. All right, plus 1 over 15. Actually, it gives you 3 over 15, which is the same as 1 over 5. Any one of these will do. Okay? So that's the answer to that. Then they say find the probability that the baker picks at least one bad egg. At least one bad. So that means we are going to have a condition we say 1 minus good, 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 to take away all the goods there. So 1 minus, and what is the good, good, good? 4 over 6, 2 over 3 over 5, and 1/2. 4 over 6. Then what do we have? 4 over 6, another good, 3 over 5. That one is 2 over 4, which is basically a half. Good. We'll punch that in. Well, you get 4 over 5 as an answer. So 1 minus all of the good stuff, 4 upon 6 times 5 upon times 3, sorry, times 3 upon 5 times a half, or 4 over 2, or 2 over 4 rather, 4 over 5, final answer. Good. 4 over 5. There you go. Leave your answers as fractions. You'll be fine. Okay, so we are now starting with our last question, which is question 15. So the table shows the height H in centimeters of 1,000 Namibian police recruits in a certain year. Then 1,000 is like 100 here, plus 250 plus 600 plus 50. 100 recruits, okay? Something that you need to understand when you're working with continuous data. Continuous data is used when you work with things like height, weight, you know, how much time, this type of stuff. So when we are looking for a modal class, a modal class is the one with the highest frequency density. Right, so how do you calculate frequency density? Let me just come down here and then maybe we do it here under. So frequency density is calculated by taking frequency density. Very important that you understand that. We take the frequency, we divide by the class width. Are you with me? The frequency divided by the class width. So I'm going to use this formula to find the frequency density of each one of those. So I'm going to write the frequency density on the table just on top here. Okay. So before I do that, so I'm going to write the frequency density here. Here I'm going to have the class width. So the class width of 170 minus 160, that's 10. 175 minus 170, that's 5. 185 minus 175, that's 10, the class width. 190 minus 185, that's 5. Are you together? So frequency density, remember we said frequency divided by that. So it's like 100 divided by 10. So in this case, it's going to be 10. This one is going to be 250 divided by 5. So this one here is 50. This one is 600 divided by 10. This one here is going to be 60, the frequency density. And 50 divided by 5, that's going to be 10. So the highest frequency density is the interval 175 and 185, between there. Okay. Now, what you need to understand, so you can write that, go ahead and say, well, let's choose a color that makes sense. So it's 175 less than equal to age less than 185. That is the modal class. Okay. Now before I look at B, there's something that I can do from that information. I can actually use that. So the frequency density for this class interval is 10. Okay, between 160 and 170, it's 10. The other one from 170 to 175 is 50. Sorry, it's 50. The frequency density is 50. 175 would be here. Is it not so? 175. So this one is 50. So I'm going to go all the way here. 50 here. There we go. 50 there. There we go. And between 175 to 185 is 60. So 175 to 185. Now 185 will be all the way down here. They say between 175 and 185 it's 60. So I'm going to have my 60 there. And where do we go? 60 here. So I can already complete my histogram. And between 185 to 190, it's 10. The frequency density, 10. So between this part here, so we will go from here to here, is 10. Good. I can actually complete my histogram if I so wish. Okay. So let's see. So let me bring in my lines. Grid lines. So this one is going to go from here to there, to there. I'm going to come back here. This one is going to continue. I'm going to come back there. So I'm going to go from here to there. So you have a ruler, place the ruler. Here. There you go. Okay. Well, you get the idea, right? Just want to move it a bit. It's a bit tricky, but there's my histogram. You can go ahead and shade it if you want to, right? You can see that's basically how it is. It is what it is. All right. So I actually am done with that part for my histogram, which is 4 marks. So that is why this information is quite important when you write them down. So work out the percentage of recruits who are at least 175. That means 175 or more. Okay? So that means 175 is this 600 plus this 50. Okay? So 600 plus 50. So that's going to be 650 over 1000 times 100. Well, you get 65%. There you go. Okay, so we're nearly done with this question, but we have covered everything. Now, there's something I need you to understand, and I want you to look at the class interval, right? So you can understand the problem. Here, you have got 100 people have got heights of between 160 and 170, but we don't know exactly, you know, this person has got a height of 161 or 165 and stuff like that. We don't know. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at that class interval there, and we're going to say on average the height of these people, all right, it's going to be something, and we call that something the mid interval. Okay, so the mid interval values, so for example, I'm going to say the mid interval. So I'm going to say the 160 plus 170, and I'm going to divide that by 2. All right. And I'm also going to do the next one. The next one is, I'm going to calculate that now, is between 170 to 175. 170 to 175. Okay. So the mid interval value there, 170 plus 175. Okay. We are also going to divide that by 2. So we can just find on average what is the height of people in that class interval. And the next one is 175 plus 185. 175 plus 185. So 175 plus 185. Also, we're going to divide. We're going to find the mean. You're going to divide that by 2. And the last one is 185 plus 190. I know this one. Okay. 185 plus 190 and divide that by 2 in order for me to get my mid-interval values. Okay, so got the calculator. So 160 plus 170 equal to divide by 2. So here we'll say in this class interval it's about 165. So what we are saying is that in that group, the average height of the people is about 165. Okay, so you can see you have, you know, they are in this place here. So the average has to be like in the middle here, right? 165. So that's basically what we are doing. The average here will be here, 172.5. The average here will be 180. The average here will be 187.5. Okay, so that is what we are looking for. So, but let's calculate them anyway. Okay, the next one we calculate is 170 plus 175 divided by 2. Okay, told you 172.5. 172. Next one it's 175 plus 185. Well, I think this is 360. Half of 360 is 180. Okay, so this is 180. Where we at? 180. And last one, we're going to do the same. We're going to say 185 plus 190, and we're going to divide that by 2. 187.5. So 187.5. Now you might ask me, why is that information important? Okay, so how many people are here in this group? There are the number of people here. There are 100. How many people are here in this group? Well, we can go back. I think they were 250. Okay. How many people were in this group? Well, this was the model one. There are 600. And here, how many people were here? They were 50. Okay. Right. So if you now have to find the estimate of the mean, you are going to use that information. So how do we then calculate the estimate of the mean? The estimate of the mean is calculated as follows. We are going to take 165, we multiply that by 100. So that midterm value, okay, yeah, that bracket doesn't look so nice. So let's start over with that bracket. Plus 172.5, multiply that by 250. Plus 180 times 600 plus 187.5 times 50. All of this we are going to divide by the total number of recruits. Are we together? So let's do that long thing. So 16500 plus bracket 172.5 times 250 bracket plus bracket 180 times 600 bracket plus bracket, let's go aside, 187.5 times 50, close the bracket. Let's go down there. We are dividing by 1000. Okay. I think we have missed something. Let's go on top. Five. This is 187 times 50. That is 180 times 600. 172. Okay. 165 times 100. 165 times 100. It's supposed to be only, oh, yeah, extra zero, né? Okay, just not to confuse, let's say bracket 165 times 100. An extra zero there. There we go. Our answer is 177. All right. So, okay. Of course, if you wanted to show, the answer would be 177,000 over 1000. Okay. So we are now going to say our estimate mean is 177. Folks, there you have it. It's quite detailed, and I trust and hope that this time around the paper is a bit more clear. So I did the previous one, I did that on the iPad. So I'm going to remove that on the YouTube channel, and I'm going to put this one up so that if you have a hold of the question paper, you can actually go through and see what I do. All right, and wish you all the best with your studies. Don't forget, you can always download these, and you can always then check them on your free time. Okay, so this is Mr. Max with Sun Mathematics.